The top 10 reasons why child support should be abolished. Number 10. Child support is unconstitutional. The principle of the separation of powers is a fundamental concept in the United States government, designed to prevent the concentration of power in any one branch. As outlined in the Constitution, there are three branches of government: the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. Each branch is vested with distinct powers and responsibilities to ensure a system of checks and balances. However, the issue arises when one branch oversteps its boundaries and encroaches upon the powers of another. This is precisely the concern raised regarding the child support system, particularly in cases like Holmberg versus Holmberg, where it was found guilty of violating the separation of powers. Let's dissect how each branch of government is implicated and how it relates to the unconstitutional nature of certain aspects of the child support system. Legislative branch. The legislative branch is responsible for making laws. However, child support agencies often create their own family codes and regulations, essentially engaging in legislative activity without proper authorization. This circumvention of the legislative process undermines the democratic principles upon which our government is founded. Executive branch. The executive branch is tasked with enforcing laws. While child support agencies fall under this branch, they often wield significant power in issuing and modifying support orders. This blurs the lines between legislative and executive functions, granting excessive authority to administrative bodies without proper oversight. Judicial branch. The judicial branch interprets laws and ensures that justice is administered fairly. Yet child support agencies frequently hold their own administrative hearings, effectively assuming a judicial role. This usurpation of judicial authority compromises the integrity of the legal system and violates the principles of due process. In essence, the child support system's practices violate the separation of powers doctrine by allowing administrative agencies to legislate, execute, and adjudicate matters related to child support without proper constitutional authority. The top 10 reasons why child support should be abolished. 9. Declining marriage rates. In recent years, there has been a noticeable trend of declining marriage rates across many societies, and the specter of potential financial repercussions from child support obligations plays a significant role in this phenomenon. The institution of marriage, once considered a cornerstone of societal stability, is facing unprecedented challenges, with fewer individuals opting to formalize their relationships through marriage. At the heart of this decline lies the fear and uncertainty surrounding child support obligations, which cast a long shadow over the prospect of marital union. For many individuals, the decision to marry is fraught with concerns about the potential financial ramifications of divorce or separation, particularly in cases where children are involved. The specter of child support obligations looms large, with many individuals viewing marriage as a risky proposition that could leave them vulnerable to substantial financial liabilities in the event of relationship breakdown. This fear is not unfounded, as divorce or separation often triggers legal obligations to provide financial support for children, regardless of the marital status of the parents. The calculation of child support obligations is based on a variety of factors, including income, custody arrangements, and the needs of the child. However, the formula used to determine these obligations can sometimes result in significant financial burdens for the non-custodial parent, leading many individuals to think twice before entering into a legally binding marriage. The fear of being saddled with onerous child support payments, often enforced by government agencies with considerable power, serves as a deterrent to marriage for many individuals. Moreover, the evolving nature of family structures and relationships has further complicated the landscape of marriage and child support, with non-traditional family arrangements becoming increasingly common, such as cohabitation without marriage or blended families. The legal framework surrounding child support obligations has struggled to keep pace. As a result, individuals may perceive marriage as an unnecessary risk, opting instead for alternative arrangements that provide greater flexibility and autonomy. Historically, marriage was primarily a religious or cultural institution, symbolizing the union of two individuals in the eyes of their faith or community. However, with the advent of legal marriage contracts and licenses, marriage has taken on a new dimension as a legal arrangement regulated by the government. This shift has led to increased government involvement in marital affairs, with marriage licenses serving as a source of revenue for the state. Returning to the traditional roots of marriage, untethered from government intervention, could offer several benefits. Firstly, it would restore marriage to its original purpose as a sacred union between two individuals, free from legal constraints and bureaucratic oversight. Couples would have the freedom to define their marital vows according to their religious or personal beliefs without the need for state approval. Furthermore, removing government involvement in marriage could help alleviate the financial burden associated with obtaining marriage licenses and navigating legal requirements. By simplifying the process of getting married, couples may be more inclined to formalize their relationships, leading to an increase in marriage rates. Additionally, decoupling marriage from government oversight could address concerns regarding the impact of previous relationships on new unions. In many cases, individuals may be hesitant to marry due to obligations stemming from child support or other legal arrangements associated with previous marriages or relationships. By removing legal barriers to marriage, couples could enter into unions with greater confidence and autonomy, unencumbered by past obligations. Ultimately, returning to a model of marriage that emphasizes personal and spiritual commitment over legal formalities could reinvigorate the institution and encourage more couples to embrace matrimony. By disentangling marriage from government control, society may witness a resurgence of marital bonds based on love, trust, and mutual respect, rather than legal obligations and financial considerations. The top 10 reasons why child support should be abolished. Number 8. Micro-authoritarian women, the matriarchy. Since the inception of child support, our country has witnessed the gradual emergence of a quasi-matriarchy, where women are afforded significant power and control within households, often at the expense of men. The dynamics of child support systems have, in many cases, served to empower women as micro-totalitarians within their respective households, enabling them to exert control and influence over men with relative impunity. One of the most striking consequences of current child support dynamics is the empowerment of micro-authoritarian women who leverage the legal framework of child support to their advantage. By wielding the threat of legal action and government intervention, women are able to manipulate and coerce men into compliance, effectively asserting dominance within the family unit. This imbalance in power dynamics perpetuates a form of matriarchy, wherein women hold sway over crucial decisions and actions within the household. The implications of this phenomenon are far-reaching, with the influence of micro-authoritarian women extending beyond individual households to shape broader societal norms and values. In many cases, the threat of invoking child support obligations serves as a powerful tool for women to assert control over their partners, creating a dynamic wherein men are relegated to subordinate roles within the family structure. This erosion of traditional gender roles and power dynamics can have profound consequences for familial relationships and societal cohesion. Furthermore, the alignment of micro-authoritarian women with government institutions, particularly in matters relating to child support enforcement, serves to amplify their influence and authority. By leveraging the resources and authority of the state, women are able to exert even greater control over men, effectively stifling dissent and resistance. This collusion between individual women and governmental agencies represents a concerning erosion of personal liberties and freedoms, as men find themselves subject to the whims and dictates of both domestic and state authority. The top 10 reasons why child support should be abolished. Number 7. Child support disincentivizes success. The punitive structure of child support systems often acts as a deterrent to individuals striving for success, as any increase in income could result in higher support obligations. This inherent disincentive undermines the very notion of upward mobility and economic prosperity, stifling ambition and innovation. At its core, The purpose of child support is to ensure that children receive financial support from both parents following a separation or divorce. The manner in which support payments are calculated and enforced can have unintended consequences, particularly with regard to individuals' career aspirations and financial goals. One of the most glaring issues is the way in which child support payments are tied to income levels. As an individual's income rises, so too does their child support obligation, creating a scenario where success is penalized rather than rewarded. This creates a perverse incentive for individuals to limit their earning potential or engage in underhanded tactics to conceal income in order to avoid higher support payments. Furthermore, the prospect of facing escalating support obligations can dissuade individuals from pursuing career advancement opportunities or entrepreneurial ventures. The fear of being penalized for success can lead individuals to adopt a mindset of complacency, choosing to maintain a status quo rather than risk incurring higher support payments. This phenomenon is particularly pronounced in cases where individuals are already struggling to meet their existing support obligations. The prospect of facing even higher payments in the event of increased income can create a sense of hopelessness and resignation, further undermining individuals' motivation to strive for success. Moreover, the punitive enforcement mechanisms employed by child support agencies only serve to exacerbate these issues. Wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other coercive measures can leave individuals feeling trapped in a cycle of financial instability, with little hope of breaking free. Ultimately, the de-incentivization of success perpetuated by child support systems represents a fundamental flaw in our approach to family law and social welfare. Rather than fostering an environment that encourages individuals to reach their full potential, these systems create barriers to success and perpetuate cycles of poverty and dependency. The dynamics surrounding divorce and child support often result in significant emotional and financial turmoil, particularly for men who have traditionally been the primary breadwinners in many households. Statistics show that a majority of divorces are initiated by women, with college-educated women leading the trend, accounting for upwards of 90% of divorce filings. In many cases, men find themselves grappling with the loss of not only their marriage, but also their role as providers and protectors of their families. For years, these men have shouldered the financial responsibilities while their spouses focused on childcare and homemaking duties, creating a stable and nurturing environment for their children. The dissolution of this family structure can be devastating for men, often leaving them feeling adrift and emotionally shattered. The sudden upheaval caused by divorce can have a profound impact on men's motivation and sense of self-worth. The loss of the family unit they once cherished can lead to a profound sense of loss and hopelessness, diminishing their drive to pursue success and achieve their goals. The idea of their former spouse leveraging government intervention in private matters, such as child support, only adds insult to injury, fueling resentment and exacerbating feelings of betrayal and abandonment. For many men, the prospect of navigating the complexities of child support enforcement and legal battles only serves to further erode their confidence and motivation. The fear of financial ruin and the prospect of being separated from their children can weigh heavily on their minds, overshadowing any aspirations for personal or professional advancement. In some cases, the psychological toll of divorce and child support obligations can be so overwhelming that men find themselves on a downward spiral, grappling with homelessness, substance abuse, and mental health issues. The loss of their family and the stability they once knew can leave them disillusioned and broken, struggling to find meaning and purpose in their lives. The top 10 reasons why child support should be abolished. Number 6. Fake love for a check. In contemporary society, the concept of love has taken on multifaceted dimensions, often entwined with modern phenomena that shape our perceptions and behaviors. Three primary arenas where the notion of fake love proliferates are weaponized feminism, the social media fantasy, and the realm of spirituality and values. Each of these domains plays a distinct role in influencing how we perceive and experience love, often blurring the lines between authentic connection and superficiality. Weaponized feminism. The intertwining of financial incentives with the concept of child support has given rise to a concerning phenomenon where relationships are forged not out of genuine affection and commitment, but rather driven by the pursuit of financial gain. This distortion of familial dynamics is exacerbated by broader societal trends, including the infiltration of Marxist and communist ideologies into cultural and educational spheres since the 1970s. With the advent of modern feminist ideologies and the normalization of diversity, inclusion, and equity standards mandated by governments, traditional family structures have come under siege. Women, empowered by these societal shifts, are increasingly portrayed as independent of men and less reliant on them for financial support. This erosion of mutual respect and decency within relationships has fostered an environment where financial gain often takes precedence over genuine emotional connection and familial responsibility. The breakdown of traditional family units not only undermines the foundation of a thriving society, but also has profound implications for the well-being of children. Growing up in environments where financial incentives overshadow genuine love and care can leave children vulnerable to emotional neglect and instability. Furthermore, the absence of a strong paternal figure deprives children of essential role models and disciplinary influences, perpetuating a cycle of dysfunction and reliance on government welfare programs. Moreover, the erosion of familial bonds and the commodification of relationships contribute to societal division and animosity as individuals prioritize financial gain over interpersonal connections. This perpetuates a cycle of distrust and resentment between genders, further fragmenting communities and eroding social cohesion. Ultimately, the prevalence of fake love for financial gain not only undermines the sanctity of familial relationships, but also poses a significant threat to the fabric of society. The social media fantasy. The phenomenon of women seeking child support from men of higher status has become increasingly prevalent, fueled in part by the influence of social media platforms like Instagram. Here, the allure of a glamorous lifestyle is often portrayed, leading many women to aspire to a life of luxury by associating themselves with wealthy and socially prominent men. This pursuit of financial security through child support has fundamentally altered the dynamics of relationships, transforming what should be authentic connections into calculated transactions. Rather than prioritizing genuine partnerships founded on mutual respect and shared values, some women view relationships solely as a means to secure financial stability through child support payments. This distorted perspective not only fosters unrealistic expectations among women, but also perpetuates a sense of entitlement that can be harmful to both individuals and society as a whole. As women prioritize financial gain over genuine emotional connections, the essence of meaningful relationships becomes compromised. Moreover, this trend marginalizes average men who seek sincere companionship and a stable family life, overshadowing them in favor of those who can offer financial security. Consequently, many men experience feelings of disillusionment and inadequacy as they find themselves sidelined in the pursuit of financial gain. Social media exacerbates this phenomenon by glamorizing the idea of effortless luxury and materialism, perpetuating unrealistic standards and fostering a culture of entitlement. The prevalence of influencer culture and celebrity worship further reinforces this delusion, driving women to aspire to the extravagant lifestyles of their idols. This distorted perception of relationships and the pursuit of financial gain through child support have profound implications for society. As women chase the illusion of a movie fantasy, men grapple with the consequences of unattainable standards and unrealistic expectations. If left unaddressed, this trend threatens to undermine the foundation of meaningful relationships and perpetuate a cycle of dissatisfaction and disillusionment, turning women's fantasies into men's worst nightmares. Spirituality and values. The growing disconnect from God and the rising influence of women's pride have profoundly shaped their understanding of personal benefit and fulfillment. This shift away from spiritual guidance and towards self-centered motivations has altered their perception of what constitutes true well-being and purpose in life. This departure from spiritual grounding and alignment with prideful pursuits has led many women to prioritize self-fulfillment and individual pursuits over traditional roles such as motherhood. The glorification of independence and self-reliance, coupled with societal messages that equate success with career achievements and material wealth, has contributed to a paradigm shift where motherhood is often viewed as secondary or even undesirable. Moreover, the decline in religious adherence and the erosion of moral foundations have weakened the sense of purpose and direction in many individuals' lives, leading them to prioritize temporal pleasures and immediate gratification over eternal truths and lasting fulfillment. As these cultural dynamics unfold, men, increasingly aware of the potential pitfalls of fatherhood, are becoming more hesitant to embrace parenthood. They recognize the risks involved in relationships where children could be leveraged for financial support through child custody battles and child support payments. Personal autonomy and individual fulfillment are now paramount, overshadowing traditional notions of familial duty and spiritual guidance. However, the repercussions of this trend extend far beyond individual choices. The fabric of society itself is at stake, as the decline in childbirth rates threatens to destabilize communities and weaken the foundation of future generations. Without a return to spiritual grounding and a reassessment of cultural values, the trajectory towards widespread childlessness among women could persist, further eroding the traditional family structure and diminishing the societal significance of motherhood. Divine intervention. By abolishing the current child support system, we have the opportunity to reclaim the values of genuine love and familial responsibility. Without the looming specter of financial incentives driving relationship dynamics, individuals would be free to pursue authentic connections based on mutual respect and emotional compatibility. This return to a time where relationships were built on genuine emotional connection rather than financial gain would mark a significant step towards restoring the sanctity of the family unit and nurturing healthy, thriving communities. Abolishing child support would not only dismantle the harmful incentives that prioritize financial gain over familial bonds, but also pave the way for a future where love and care reign supreme. It would be a departure from the troubling era where relationships were tainted by ulterior motives, and a return to a time where genuine love and familial responsibility were the guiding principles of our society. The top 10 reasons why child support should be abolished. Number 5. Declining birth rates. In recent years, declining birth rates have become a pressing concern, with various factors contributing to this trend. Prospective parents are acutely aware of the financial responsibilities that come with raising children, including the potential obligations of child support in the event of separation or divorce. This awareness often leads couples to hesitate or delay their decision to have children, as they grapple with concerns about their financial stability and ability to meet these obligations. Moreover, the current socio-economic landscape has shifted the paradigm of familial dynamics, influencing individuals' perceptions of parenthood. In an era marked by increasing individualism and economic precarity, the traditional notion of starting a family and raising children has lost some of its appeal. Couples are more inclined to prioritize financial security and personal fulfillment over traditional family values, leading to a decline in birth rates across demographics. Consequently, it is projected that by 2030, a substantial portion of women may opt to remain childless. Furthermore, there is a growing sentiment of distrust and disillusionment regarding the institution of child support. Some individuals perceive child support as a potential weapon wielded by partners to extract financial benefits, further disincentivizing parenthood. The fear of being subjected to financial exploitation or coerced into unwanted parental responsibilities undermines individuals' confidence in starting families, contributing to the overall decline in birth rates. In essence, the financial burden associated with potential child support obligations has emerged as a significant deterrent to parenthood, exacerbating the trend of declining birth rates. As couples weigh the economic risks and uncertainties associated with raising children, many opt to postpone or forgo parenthood altogether. The negative impact of child support on men has led many to reassess their views on relationships, marriage, and parenthood, ultimately choosing to stay single and forgo having children. Witnessing the financial and emotional toll that child support obligations can impose on fathers, men are increasingly wary of entering into traditional family structures that could leave them vulnerable to a broken legal system. The specter of child support looms large for many men, serving as a cautionary tale of the potential pitfalls of marriage and fatherhood. Seeing friends, family members, or even themselves embroiled in contentious custody battles or burdened by exorbitant support payments, men have become acutely aware of the risks involved in starting a family. As a result, many men are opting out of traditional relationships and parenthood altogether, viewing these institutions as fraught with legal and financial peril. Instead of pursuing marriage and starting families, they are choosing to prioritize their own well-being and protect themselves from a system that they perceive as fundamentally unjust. This shift away from traditional family structures reflects a broader sense of disillusionment with societal norms and institutions. Men are increasingly skeptical of the societal expectations placed upon them to be providers and fathers, recognizing the inherent risks and vulnerabilities associated with these roles in a legal landscape that often favors mothers and imposes heavy financial burdens on fathers. In the eyes of many men, the current child support system represents a broken and unfair mechanism that undermines their rights and perpetuates inequality. Rather than subjecting themselves to the system, they're choosing to opt out, viewing singleness and childlessness as protective measures against a legal system that they perceive as fundamentally flawed. This trend towards singleness and childlessness among men speaks to a broader sense of societal disillusionment and distrust in institutions. As men grapple with the realities of a legal system that they see as stacked against them, they are choosing to prioritize their own autonomy and well-being, even if it means forgoing traditional notions of family and parenthood. Overall, the intersection of economic factors, delayed marriage, education and career goals, and changing social norms creates a complex landscape in which declining birth rates emerge as a significant phenomenon. Child support obligations exacerbate these challenges, further contributing to the decline in birth rates as individuals navigate the complexities of modern life and family planning. The top 10 reasons why child support should be abolished. Number 4, parental alienation, using children as pawns. Child support disputes often devolve into contentious custody battles where children are tragically caught in the crossfire, becoming unwitting pawns in their parents' conflicts. This reprehensible practice inflicts emotional distress and trauma upon innocent parties, leaving lasting scars on the most vulnerable members of society. One of the most disturbing manifestations of the child support system's flaws is the weaponization of children as pawns in parental disputes. In some cases, parents resort to tactics of parental alienation, manipulating their children's perceptions and relationships to serve their own interests. This coercive behavior creates a toxic environment where children are unfairly coerced or incentivized to align with one parent over the other, often to the detriment of their emotional well-being and developmental growth. The insidious nature of using children as pawns extends beyond the immediate confines of custody battles, permeating the fabric of familial relationships and undermining the bonds between parents and their offspring. Children subjected to such manipulation and emotional coercion may suffer profound psychological consequences, including feelings of abandonment, confusion, and betrayal. Moreover, the erosion of trust and stability within the family unit can have far-reaching implications for children's long-term emotional and social development, perpetuating cycles of dysfunction and trauma. In a society plagued by narcissism, unresolved trauma, and interpersonal conflict, children are tragically caught in the crossfire of their parents' unresolved grievances. Rather than prioritizing the best interests of the child, some parents prioritize personal vendettas and vindictiveness, using their children as leverage to exact revenge or gain advantage in custody battles. This reprehensible practice not only inflicts harm upon innocent children, but also perpetuates cycles of dysfunction and intergenerational trauma, undermining the very fabric of society. Addressing the systemic issues underlying the use of children as pawns in child support disputes requires a multifaceted approach that prioritizes the well-being and best interests of children above all else. By promoting cooperative co-parenting, fostering healthy communication, and prioritizing the emotional needs of children, society can work towards creating a more compassionate and supportive environment for families navigating the complexities of disputes. Parental alienation, especially when it involves using children as leverage in child support disputes, inflicts profound emotional and psychological wounds on men who find themselves ensnared in this vicious cycle of manipulation and coercion. Alongside the children, these men become victims of both their ex-partner's vindictiveness and a legal system that often fails to protect their rights. For many men, the experience of being coerced under duress to pay child support can feel like a form of emotional ransom, where their financial contributions are demanded. This extortionate dynamic not only places immense financial strain on men, but also undermines their sense of autonomy and dignity, reducing their role in their children's lives to that of a mere financial provider. In cases where fathers are denied access to their children despite fulfilling their child support obligations, the injustice is compounded. These men are effectively held hostage by their ex-partners, unable to see their children unless they comply with arbitrary demands or endure protracted legal battles to assert their parental rights. The psychological toll of this coercive manipulation is devastating, leaving fathers feeling powerless, marginalized, and stripped of their innate desire to nurture and protect their children. Furthermore, the collusion between ex-partners and the government in perpetuating this cycle of abuse exacerbates the trauma experienced by men caught in its grip. Despite their best efforts to navigate a legal system that often seems stacked against them, many fathers find themselves trapped in a Kafkaesque nightmare where justice is elusive and their paternal bonds are systematically undermined. Ultimately, the impact of parental alienation and coercive child support arrangements on men cannot be overstated. Beyond the financial burdens and legal complexities, these men grapple with profound feelings of grief, anger, and betrayal as they witness their parental rights eroded and their relationships with their children fractured. By recognizing and addressing the systemic injustices that perpetuate this cycle of abuse, society can begin to heal the wounds inflicted on fathers and their children, fostering healthier, more equitable family dynamics rooted in mutual respect and cooperation. The top 10 reasons why child support should be abolished. Number 3, forced labor. Modern-day slavery. In the most egregious instances, the burdensome obligations of child support can bear a striking resemblance to modern-day slavery, entrapping individuals in a cycle of financial servitude and coercion. The term slavery evokes images of forced labor and subjugation, And while the parallels may not be identical, the oppressive nature of certain child support arrangements cannot be overlooked. Within the context of child support, individuals, predominantly men, often find themselves ensnared in a web of financial demands that feel insurmountable and inescapable. These obligations, imposed by administrative courts operating under maritime law, are frequently characterized by exorbitant payment schedules that leave obligors struggling to make ends meet. In many cases, the bulk of these payments is absorbed by administrative fees and interest, leaving little relief for the individuals burdened by them. One of the most alarming aspects is where the money actually goes. Instead of directly benefiting the children as intended, a significant portion, 60%, is funneled into administrative fees and court costs. This revelation paints a stark picture of a system that prioritizes profit over the welfare of children and families. In fact, family law alone generates an estimated $30 billion annually for the courts, making it one of their most lucrative ventures. The comparison to slavery is not made lightly. Just as slaves were compelled to toil under the yoke of their masters, individuals subject to oppressive child support arrangements often feel similarly bound to their financial obligations with little recourse for escape. The creation of these debts often appears arbitrary, with obligations imposed without regard for individuals' financial circumstances or ability to pay. The use of coercive tactics, such as wage garnishment and asset seizure, further reinforces the perception of child support as a form of economic bondage, depriving obligors of their autonomy and financial freedom. For many, the threat of imprisonment looms large, creating a constant state of anxiety and fear. Once incarcerated, these individuals are subjected to the dehumanizing experience of being stripped of their freedom and autonomy. Behind bars, they are isolated from their families and communities. Meanwhile, their children are left without the emotional and financial support they desperately need. The term deadbeat fails to capture the nuanced realities of individuals struggling to navigate a system that often feels stacked against them. Many are grappling with economic hardship, unemployment, or other extenuating circumstances that make meeting their financial obligations impossible. Rather than casting judgment, society should seek to understand and address the root causes of non-payment, including economic inequality, job instability, and systemic barriers to financial stability. Fundamentally, the notion of being compelled to work to satisfy the demands of another is antithetical to the principles of freedom and self-determination upon which our society is built. It is a violation of our God-given rights to live our lives according to our own wishes, free from undue coercion or interference. The fact that these obligations are often imposed unilaterally, without due process or consideration of individual circumstances, only serves to underscore the injustice inherent in the child support system. Indeed, the plight of well over 5 million men trapped in the forced labor program known as child support is a stark reminder of the injustices perpetuated by the current system. By abolishing the oppressive child support system, we not only dismantle the shackles of oppression, but also pave the way for a brighter, more equitable future. As we champion the well-being of families and children, we uphold the very essence of humanity and compassion, forging a society where every individual has the opportunity to thrive. Together, let us forge a path towards prosperity and a legacy of freedom that transcends generations to come. The top 10 reasons why child support should be abolished. Number 2. operating within the framework of maritime law of commerce. The court system often prioritizes financial transactions and commercial interests over the fundamental well-being of families and individuals. This focus on monetary considerations frequently leads to protracted legal battles and outcomes that may not necessarily align with the best interests of those involved. Moreover, these courts, which are essentially functioning businesses, have a vested interest in perpetuating legal disputes and prolonging litigation as it generates revenue and sustains their operations. Under the guise of administering justice, the court system, driven by the principles of maritime law of commerce, has become increasingly incentivized to undermine and dismantle family structures across the country. By perpetuating legal disputes and conflicts within families, these courts effectively contribute to the erosion of the familial fabric that serves as the cornerstone of society. This erosion of family units not only undermines the stability and cohesion of communities, but also poses a legitimate threat to national security and societal well-being. One of the most insidious aspects of the court system operating under maritime law of commerce is its propensity for coercion and manipulation. Through the use of legalistic language and intricate legal procedures, individuals are often coerced into unwittingly falling under the jurisdiction of maritime law without fully understanding the implications of their actions. This manipulation, coupled with the financial incentives inherent in the system, creates a breeding ground for injustice and exploitation, wherein individuals are left vulnerable to the whims and agendas of the courts. Moreover, the allegiance of these courts and their officials to foreign entities and commercial interests further compounds the threat posed by the maritime law of commerce. By prioritizing profit over justice and aligning themselves with external forces, these courts undermine the sovereignty and integrity of the nation, eroding the very foundations upon which the legal system is built. This betrayal of trust and subversion of national interests represent a grave danger to the fabric of society, as the courts, instead of upholding the rule of law, become instruments of oppression and exploitation. When you enter over the bar, you're stepping into a foreign corporate meeting, operating under admiralty law, not constitutional law. So, when you go to declare your constitutional rights, oftentimes the judge will ignore them. We know that the word legal is actually translated as undoing God's law. So when we step into a courtroom, remember it's just that, a courtroom. It's not an actual court. Here in America, we are a republic. We have courts, not courtrooms. Everything they do mirrors God's law. But they get us to believe it's the law, when actually it's not. It's a corporate private meeting. Now, due to the fact that admiralty law jurisdiction bases its entire existence on assumption, presumption, tacit admission, and hearsay, it's imperative that we define the meanings of the words we use, and that each word has only one meaning. It's your court, and don't let them intimidate you. Here are some great examples of things that you're not. You are not a vessel. A vessel is a shipping container. And that's not us. You are not an entity. An entity is a dead thing or a dead being. You are not a corporation, which would be a dead entity. You are not a person. Defined in their rule book, a person means corporation. You are not a thing, an object, or a commodity. You are a living, breathing being. A flesh and blood man or woman created by God, not a corporate fiction. You are not chattel property. We're not cattle. We're not slaves. They want to assume us to be slaves, but they've done it all through their trickery. You are a living soul, made in the image and likeness of God. In conclusion, as we navigate the labyrinthine corridors of the legal system, it's crucial to remember our inherent sovereignty and divine heritage. We must vigilantly guard against the encroachments of admiralty law, which seeks to subjugate us through presumption and hearsay. By reclaiming the power of language and defining our terms, we assert our autonomy in the face of a system designed to ensnare and control. As we stand firm in our identity as living souls, made in the image and likeness of God, we transcend the limitations of corporate fiction and embrace our true essence. Let us not be intimidated by the trappings of authority, but rather emboldened by the knowledge of our inherent worth and dignity. For in the end, it is our unwavering faith in divine justice and our commitment to truth that will ultimately prevail. The top 10 reasons why child support should be abolished. Number 1. The destruction of the family unit. At its core, the current child support system undermines the very foundation of the family unit, eroding trust, fostering conflict, and sowing division instead of support and unity. The family unit stands as the cornerstone of society, serving as the primary source of love, stability, and guidance for individuals as they navigate the complexities of life. However, the punitive nature of child support enforcement often creates an environment of animosity and resentment between parents, turning what should be a collaborative effort to support and nurture children into a battleground of legal disputes and financial obligations. Rather than fostering cooperation and mutual respect, the system incentivizes conflict and adversarial relationships, leaving both parents and children caught in the crossfire. Moreover, the financial strain imposed by child support obligations can place immense pressure on already fragile family dynamics, exacerbating existing tensions and pushing families to the breaking point. The constant fear of financial ruin and legal repercussions can drive a wedge between parents, making it increasingly difficult to co-parent effectively and provide a nurturing environment for their children. Furthermore, the emphasis on financial support as the primary measure of parental responsibility overlooks the multitude of other factors that contribute to a child's well-being, such as emotional support, stability, and positive role modeling. By reducing the complex dynamics of parenting to a simple financial transaction, the child support system diminishes the significance of parental involvement and engagement in children's lives, undermining the holistic development of the family unit. From a foundational perspective, families form the bedrock of society, serving as the building blocks upon which communities, cities, and nations are constructed. The health and stability of the family unit are essential for the overall well-being and prosperity of society as a whole. When families are torn apart by conflict and financial strain, the ripple effects are felt far and wide, leading to social instability, economic hardship, and a breakdown of community cohesion.